Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, what is happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent, big ugly himself, Omari Ellis, Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Has a Scene, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host and running one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey, Omari, thank you for having me back. As always, it's good to be here. It's good to be doing this thing where we trade the media back and forth. It's like a book club for people who are lazy and don't want to read books because we're dumb. So we watch movies where it's a book with pictures. Um, yeah, it's like that. It's like a book club. We're trading stuff back and forth. Hopefully, ideally, one guy hasn't, the other guy hasn't, back and forth. You should do this with somebody. Not talking to Omari, I'm talking to you. Thanks for having me, Omari.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and like you said, that is the general premise of the show. And I believe this week we got a classic for us, the very least a cult classic, if not a definitive classic. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off from 1986, rated PG-13. A popular high school student admired by his peers decides to take a day off from school and goes to an extreme lengths to pull it off, to the chagrin of his dean, who will do anything to stop him.
Chagrin.
It is written and directed by John Hughes. It stars Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, and Mia Sara. Omari, yeah, like you said, this is one of those where I'm like, man, how has he seen this? How has he not seen this? I mean, like, I guess,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
so you have the built-in excuse of not being white.
yeah, yeah,
For
cultural
example,
differences and no whatnot.
but no, yeah, my mother forced me to watch this. I'm sure a million different times. I have no concept of how my wife has never seen this film. I told her straight up when the movie started, I was like, Omari has an excuse. You have been white for 30 years on this earth. How have you never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Like that fucking thing was on, like, I feel like it lived on like TBS.
It might have, might think, and to your point, with it living on TBS and other stuff like that. Obviously, the various pop culture references, your Bueller's, your oh yes, your stuff like that, parodies of the running in the backyard shit that I had seen. I over just public zeitgeist. I just like you mentioned, cultural differences wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily put in the rotation of movies that I watched when I was younger. And after that, it was just more of a get around to it. I know it's good, but I've seen all the memes. What's left to watch in a movie type stuff. And so it's like, I'll get around to watching it. And yeah, just never did till, you know, recently for this. Yeah.
What were you expecting?
Um,
What were you anticipating?
I knew
What'd
the
you know?
idea. I knew the premise was he was skipping school. Uh, and knowing that, I figured probably gonna get caught. I had the idea of the principal pretty much trying to catch him. Right, I did like the premise. I kind of was familiar with. I had heard people talk about very loosely, just being like, Cameron is a misunderstood character, and here's why he's important, and doobie doobie doo. And I'm like, I didn't watch the movie. I'm not going to read the article, but I knew that there was a character Cameron and stuff like that. So I pretty much expected what I got because of the cultural relevance and presence
Uh-huh.
in the public, knowledge of that is Paris Bueller's Day Off. I thought it would be Michael J. I always, for whatever reason before this, I know it's Matthew Broderick. And when I look at anything Ferris Bueller, I don't look at it and say, hey, that's Michael J. Fox. But for whatever reason, my head, until like even the movie started up, had Michael J. Fox as the main character, and I don't know why. I'm just like, okay, Michael J. Fox and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But no clip I've ever seen has I looked at Matthew Broderick will look, oh yeah, that's Michael J. Fox. But somehow my mind Mandela affected it to be the case. I'm like, oh yeah, he was doing Back to the Future and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They're kind of similar
I
characters,
can absolutely see, yeah, I can see that happening for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I chose this because I mean it's just one of those, I feel like it's one of those films that is, yeah, it's a, I mean, Deadpool 2 just referenced it, or no, was it the first Deadpool? The first Deadpool referenced it multiple times. It's a constant touchstone in pop culture, in media. It is, like you said, it's got a lot of firsts in it. So we'll talk about some of that. And yeah, it's been on the list for a long time, and had to pull it out. Had to pull it out at some point. So now why not do it here?
All right. And I guess with that, we'll hop into the movie. And yeah, pretty much starts off with the pretending to be sick and all that stuff as the parents come in, and you know, oh, very clammy hands and all that
Mhm.
shit. Funny little.
Did you ever play Sick, Omar?
Did I ever play sick? Yes. To that degree, no.
Well, yeah.
Um, yeah, I have in the past. Yeah,
Did
I
you have a
feel like
go-to
funny.
move, or was it just your acting?
Uh, my acting, no, not it wasn't necessarily hand worthy. That's why I didn't do it because it was like elementary. By high school, I wasn't pretending to be sick. I was just if I skipped, you know, my own personal Ferris Bueller would come and tell me, "Hey, this is what's happening," and my
Uh,
camera ass would be like, "Yeah, let's do it."
mm,
I just wasn't depressed about it. Uh,
okay.
so that
Mm,
was that. Um, but in
mm.
elementary, yeah, I played sick a lot, and well, not a lot, but when I did, it was just, oh, my stomach hurts. I think I did go, my stomach hurts. I don't feel too well, and yeah. Now I will say that my own personal Ferris Bueller was a nice person and not an asshole like this one. Okay. It's only a loose analogy.
That's immediately where my brain went. That's you nailed it on the head. That's immediately, I was like, I decided in this viewing that Ferris Bueller's a gigantic asshole.
Like, no, no, not in that regard. Just the premise, but not.
I mean, no, I
I was a
mean,
lot more compliant than Cameron. I'll say that much.
you're in real life. Ferris Bueller was quite the asshole at times. I'm sure an older, wiser, plus 15 years version of that guy is like, man, what an idiot for a lot of stuff.
Okay. I'm like, what an idiot for me. So it's fine.
However, some things he's still
Hey,
very proud of.
hey, both those idiots had a lot of fun with cameras, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Anyway, back. Hey,
or bubbleheads.
there we go. Oh yeah, bubbleheads. You don't do that to people, you know.
I'm proud of that. That would
Yeah.
be one of the greatest things I ever do with my life. Genuinely. Be one of the Twain and I talk about that. Everyone's like twice a year, we'll just be sitting in silence, and one of us will go, we'll never do anything better than that. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. We never will. It was perfect. It was literally perfect. It couldn't have been done better.
I'll agree. I'll agree.
And then it was recanted terribly on Whatever We Want podcast. Go view that episode of that podcast.
You are more
And
than
then get in
welcome.
them comments.
If there's ever another episode, you are more than welcome to come on and tell the story yourself, good
He's a
sir.
busy man. He's a busy man.
Yes,
Next
the Aquarian is rising to new heights.
oh yeah, we're too late. I would have loved to have done some promotion for his play, but we're a little too late on it now. Um uh but yeah, it's he's a busy guy. He's a busy guy, and I'm
Busy
excited to go
man.
see his play.
Yes, agreed.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, man. Ferris Bueller's Day
Yeah.
Off. You know,
So
I threw in some filler there because I knew this was going to be a little bit of a light episode. We're just kind of
gotcha.
jumping around talking about the fun spots that you have,
Yeah.
or the
I suppose the
the
yeah.
not fun spots that you might have had. Like, but I feel like let's do one of those kind of eps and just kind of pop around a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you remember from the film?
Um. So the various like little bits, like the pretending to call in and having his friend pretend to do the thing. I like his various
Uh-huh.
schemes, how far he did try to think ahead on this. But early on, I was really mad at him when he called the people at school and he's like, "Oh, I might need a new kidney or something like this." And I'm like, there's no need. Just you already had the cough button, the this. You can just be like, oh, it's just a cold. No worries. You know what I mean? I could be in, tomorrow or next week. I'll probably just cough, cough, cough. You don't have to be like, oh, I need a new kidney and have the towel do it all the thing. Now it's funny because it leads to the whole Save Ferris campaign, which I was waiting for the payoff of that to blow up in his face, like them all show up. I thought this was all gonna build to one crescendo of him everything exposed.
Eating shit.
Yeah. Having to having to suffer the
This is the 80s,
consequences.
Omari. No one suffers consequences until 1989.
Yes. But yeah, so he throughout the movie and stuff, I did like that. Cameron, the what is it? Let my Camerons go or whatever.
I love Cameron's
Cameron's
introduction to the
what
film, and
Cameron.
him just him laying in the bed and just staring at the ceiling, hitting the speakerphone button, and just like talking out into the like up into the sky for his phone call. Yeah, I love him in this movie, and I really like his opening. I like when the film, like, there are a bunch of moments where the movie really is trying to be artistic more than
Yeah, a lot of things they
like they're
tried to
trying
do their own
every once in a
identity.
while. Yeah, like in the art museum, the editing of the pacing of the editing suddenly changes dramatically. The blocking of the shots that they do of like the tiered things that they did. um the and then yeah, like the using the cutting back between Matthew Broderick talking directly to camera about Cameron and Cameron was really great. And I really like that moment.
Mhm. So I did like a lot of the framework and camera shots they did throughout the movie. The car, I was familiar with the premise of the bit. Again, I thought I had the image of the car driving through a window off a cliff in my head associated with this movie, but I guess the vision I had in my head was the car going face first out the window into a pool. And I was thinking, well, maybe when all this stuff blows up, he gets chased by the cops in the Ferrari. Then eventually they fuck up, and then the car like crashes into a pool in a party, and that's how dude ruins his dad's car. It's like, God damn it, Ferris, what are you doing? But yeah, Ferris at first just seemed like you said, your typical 80s like main character. Do. It wasn't until the car scene where I was like, okay, dude, seriously. What the fuck? Like when he first makes Cameron get in the car and steals it, which I also immediately, which before that I was like, why are the keys already in it? Uh, you know what I mean? Hey,
Uh-huh.
Dad, you don't want your son stealing your car and joyriding. At least cripple him by not leaving the keys in the damn thing. You don't even drive it. Then again, I guess he's like, well, I know the miles on it, so even if he does, I track him down.
Right.
But prevent it all together. Like, what if he doesn't care that you know the miles and he wants to test that? I don't think he remembers that. 38,364, 0.5. I don't know, whatever the fuck it was. I don't think he remembers it that detailed. Turns out he does, and your car got driven. Now you're double pissed. Like, anyway, but no, Ferris, when he was just like, and just the way he treated like a lot of Cameron's opinions throughout the thing, like, dude, like a lot of justified opinions too. Is just like, dude, can we not?
Hmm.
Man, you don't understand. You just got to live a little.
Does not listen to Cameron through 95% of this film. Here's Cameron, does not listen to Cameron. And yeah, that's the biggest like Ferris Bueller is one of the most selfish main characters of all time. Of all time. And the movie creates the scenario where he doesn't get in trouble and everyone still loves him, even his best friend, that he's basically ruined his life. Like we don't see the aftermath, but like they just destroyed his father's favorite thing in this world.
Yeah.
um there are unseen repercussions from that, and he's just going to take the heat completely solo and let Ferris just have his sick day. that's
The
that's
real
insane.
one.
He's a real one.
He
Cameron is a
should.
real one.
He's realer than me. Like, oh hell no, we taking this fall together.
Yeah, it's how he treats Cameron, and then it is how he treats staff, to where I was like, "Oh my God, Ferris Bueller is a piece of shit." Like he treats that, I don't care if you're in a fancy place and the and he may have perceived to have looked down upon you, but you are in blue jeans,
Yeah.
in like very obviously like a suit and tie establishment,
Yeah.
and you are a complete asshole to that guy who is just trying to do his job and probably lives in a shitty studio apart. Like I have been friends with that maitre d. Like probably lives in a shitty studio apartment in Chicago and is just trying to fucking do his job. And Ferris Bueller is a piece of shit to him. Then before that, before the guy steals his car and justifies Ferris Bueller being a dick to him, Ferris Bueller is completely racist to that car garage guy and is like, "Hey, do you speak English?" Guy doesn't even really look that ethnic. Like he's a little bit non-white. Like you could tell me he's Italian or Greek and I would have bought it. I guess the movie is telling
I
us
would
that
have
he's
bought it, but he
Mexican.
definitely looked ethnic. I don't know about Mexican, what ethnicity, but he looked ethnic, is what I'm gonna
I
say.
mean, yeah,
That
he looked
said,
ethnic, but I mean
that
like
said, to go up and just be like, "Do you speak English?" is fucked up.
in
Like
Chicago.
in Chicago, yeah.
Like what?
And like he's like, "What country do you think this is?" Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, those few moments really highlighted what you already kind of know, that oh yeah, Ferris Bueller is kind of like he's a little bit of he pushes Cameron around a little bit, but it's Ferris, come on, everything works out, everybody has fun. Cameron tells the audience that this is the best day of his life. Thank you, Ferris, for dragging me out of the house. This was the
Yeah.
greatest day of my life.
Yeah, they got to go to a baseball game. They had the fucking parade moment, which again, motherfucker, you're trying not to get caught. And you're in the middle of parade. Okay, you did the one song to try and cheer your buddy up, supposedly. And then you do another one that's an even bigger number. Like, okay, do the one thing and then get off the fucking stage. Haha, you had your moment. But nah, let's get the whole crowd in here. His dad, who's stupid, looks out the window and sees him, which there you go. If this is anything even remotely real, dad's like, what the fuck is my son doing on this float outside my window? Not to mention all the time they literally are right next to each other. He looks at him and then double takes. Woo
No, that couldn't have possibly been my son. He's at home sick. Yeah, both mom and dad are stupid. The parade scene, although ridiculous in plot sense,
It's
is
still
I
epic
it's
and
yeah, it's
iconic.
iconic. Yeah, it's iconic for sure. Yeah, but like yeah, mom and dad are so dumb. They're so dumb. Mom when she came home to check on Ferris, like straight up staring at the arm of a mannequin
I'm
and
about to
is like,
say, just like
yeah, good night, honey. And closes the door. Like a
does the
fucking
double take
mannequin
with the
arm.
9 times.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh well. Well, I can't believe my daughter did the thing. Poor daughter, sister, I forget her name, but she was mad the entire movie. Uh but she ended up, even she at the end was like, you know what? Screw the damn teacher. Ferris, come on in. Get away with everything. Mr.
I guess she decided by the end of the movie that like Ferris is Ferris, but he's still blood, and I already hate this dude more.
Yeah, I hate this dude more. Charlie Sheen talked to me, so I'm in a better mood. Come on in. He's right. So what if you win at everything? That's just who you are. I'm me. I still get stuff. And she mentioned and she did have like the little moment earlier where she's like, I did get the car and he got a computer. So it's not like my parents don't love me. That said, I'm really mad about today. Which, yeah, people are coming up to you like that. First off, they don't even realize that you're his sister, and then second, being like, "Oh, hey, you want to get some money for Ferris Bueller? He's not at school today, and I want to give him money for it. Is that okay?" And you've known from the get go he's faking, so I can see what her frustration throughout as well.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie
Mm-hmm.
Sheen's thing, speaking of which, hilarious. It was I like the just the beginning of that. Drugs. What? Did you get in here for doing drugs? No. What are you in here for? Drugs.
Dude's got one thing on the mind.
So I thought that's why like that's probably just Charlie Sheen at that point.
The cut to the class that Ferris Bueller would be taking if he hadn't have skipped by Ben Stein. Anybody?
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 Taxes. Yeah.
As we're going to like each kid gradually and gradually getting more and more like zombified. um yeah, I thought that was a really funny scene.
It was a good like running gag. Just and up next we have anybody, anyone? Yes. So that was a nice little through line. Obviously, the principal's through line throughout. Just you know,
Yeah, and then yeah, that actor himself is not a good person that we don't need to highlight at all.
oh, okay.
So yeah, it's yeah, his stuff is fine. it gets you. I guess it fills out the rest of the movie. Without him, the film would be like 115, like or hour 15. Um, but yeah, I kind of get tired of like even separate the whole actor end of it. Um, I kind of get tired of his story about halfway through it. It's kind of reached its precipice, and he's just like waiting for Ferris to get home for like a really long time.
Pretty much. I yeah. I did kind of like to work with the dog, but at the
Oh yeah.
end and the idea for the ending where it's just him walking and just depressed, deciding to get on the bus, just give it up and get on the bus.
That
Because
was weird. It's so long and it's
it was too
so
long.
slow.
It was too long, but up until he got onto the bus, I was okay with it because at first he's like, "Just go. I don't even want to talk about it. Don't fucking." And she's like, "Do you want to ride?" And you can see him just sit there, like, you know what? Fuck it. I do want to ride. I'm tired. This is just not my day. Fuck
You
it.
see him
I'm
look
getting a
down at
ride
his
home.
shoe that's
Yeah.
all ripped apart, and he's like, I gotta walk all. I got. It's still very far. Fuck it."
Yeah. So puts on the suit and gets on the thing. I liked that little bit.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, then it goes on way too long with him walking on the bus. Super awkward. But again, this movie was trying a lot of stuff. Um, I like you talked about the car going out the window. I liked Cameron's whole little monologue up to that with his like daddy issues and stuff. That was
Yeah, no,
cool.
I mean, despite me not liking Ferris pushing him through it, he's the only character here that has a arc where I mean, Cameron is you could even maybe make the argument that Cameron is the protagonist of the film, getting dragged along by Ferris. Because he has the hero's journey in this, and it's done really well, where by the end of it he is uh he's a very anxious, worrisome person that's been able to drop a lot of it. It's we are just in a slice of life, single day kind of thing in this film, so who knows what goes on further with these characters. but
True.
but uh but you see a full arc of established character be overcoming the adversities and changing for the better by the end, and it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Sloane was there, I guess. She didn't really do
I mean,
much.
yeah, Sloane is there. It's for example, like her last line of the movie explains it all, where she's just like, "I'm gonna be Ferris Bueller's wife." And you're like, yeah, that's your character, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's what the movie has provided you for.
Mhm.
And you're here to occasionally provide Cameron with the female perspective that he's very confused about right now in this period. Again, goes back to Cameron. Like the most interesting stuff Sloane has in this film is her stuff with Cameron, not with Ferris.
Yeah, that is also true. At one point, I thought they were going to end up with each other, like because I'm expected, like I wasn't
You
realizing.
kind of get that vibe at one point. Like if Ferris Bueller was made in 2023, I feel like the cool, loose, hip Ferris would just be like, "Hey Sloan, you wanna help my buddy out?" Like, and it just becomes like a weird thruple relationship thing or something.
Oh, I was just thinking that it. I was operating under the whole premise that things are gonna blow up in his face, so I was just like, "Oh, they're gonna get together."
And like leave him in the dust.
Yeah, yeah, like because his head's like on her lap at one point. She's like, "Cameron," like, okay, no, okay, I see y'all. And while he's like, and then I was serious about wanting to marry her, but she's got to stay behind, and I don't know. So while he's thinking about that, they're over there talking to each other. I'm like, Ah, okay. Something's gonna happen here. Nothing happens. Ferris Bueller. It all works out for him. Not without lack
He's
of
the
effort
man.
of his own, right? I like the little receptionist lady too.
The
Uh,
the school secretary.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was hilarious, and especially when the sister left her, she just like, "What an asshole!" Like, oh my god.
Yeah, the pencil gag in her opening is so stupid, but it's so fun. Like it gets me every time. It's so silly, but it's perfect. She plays it perfectly, and I laugh every single time with it.
Yeah, I do love those little kind of gags and stuff. But yeah,
Anything else jump out at you?
I'm trying to think. We already mentioned the oh yeah and the reference that is and the running through the backyards and
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, I wonder if this is the first time you ever got like coal into buttocks equals diamond bit that has happened many a times in culture. Or the line of like you have your butthole, you have your butt so tight that or
Oh,
you could squeeze a lump of coal into a diamond. He delivers that to the camera like it's the first time anybody's ever said something like that. So I'm curious if that's the first time we've had the lump of coal into a diamond thing, kind of like that. But yeah, it's
oh yeah. I wasn't expecting the oh yeah song to be about a car. I was expecting it to be about a chick. So that's just because that's what everybody does it with when they parody it. When they parody it, it's usually
uh-huh.
done with a chick.
I mean, when you're saying it, Omari, like I feel like the exact same thing might have been in Weird Science. Have you seen Weird Science?
Who's in it?
These people.
Oh,
It's
I
it's
don't
a
know.
it's a Brat Pack film. It's a John Hughes film.
I don't think so.
It
Not
was
ringing any
done it was
bells.
done the previous year,
Oh, okay.
and I want to say, I mean, the vision in my head now that you've said it is one of those just like close up panning of different body parts. Bow, bow.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. And, uh um I want to say it's in that which that would be the first one. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. It may not be the first, but it is certainly one of the first, if not the first, to use it in that manner. In the like, oh my God, look at how
Yeah.
sexy this is. Even though it's a
It's a
car.
car.
But
It
like,
works
man, look
for
at
it.
these curves.
Now, don't get me wrong, it works for the car.
Uh-huh.
You know, the that meme guys will look at this and say, "Hell yeah!" Like, yeah, oh, yeah. I've yet, a lot of those memes though, I can't argue against. I will be honest.
Yeah.
Someone the other day, it's like guys are looking to say, "Hell yeah!" Someone put like a hot dog on a skateboard and put on like a fucking Hot Wheels like ramp thing, goes all the way and then ramps off. The hot dog lands on a grill and starts cooking. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of things to say hell yeah or oh yeah, that was Ferris Bueller.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah,
Oh.
hell yeah. There we go. Random.
Get you one of them Steve Weisers.
That's a random thing to have on set for, for random reference. Like, oh yeah, here you go, broken skull. But, yeah, that's Ferris Bueller. I liked it. It was good. It
Good.
like you mentioned, it was kind of nostalgic for me because while never to that extent, I had a lot of fun in high school, and there were days where it's just, you know what, let's go do something. Even if it's like, let's go to the bowling alley and shoot some pool or something like that. It was cool. You know, it was a nice to have a day off. It led to memories and stuff like that. So that general aspect of it, I liked it. Ferris, like you mentioned, Ferris himself was very selfish and inconsiderate of others. You know, so I didn't like that about it. But product of his time. The dude did have a lot of charisma. It's hard to hate. It is hard to hate the dude if you don't look deeper into the character. If you just see surface level, man, that guy's cool. He's extroverted as fuck. So yeah, I like that aspect of him. So I get it. I just wish he was slightly more nice. But it still worked. Thank you for that. And you on your rewatch, I'm assuming you enjoyed it because it was your.
I mean, yeah, I like the film, but yeah, I feel like each time I were to watch it, Ferris Bueller gets more and more intolerable for me. But the film itself is great, and it's very 1985, and it's of these teen high school movies, it's a Mount Rushmore of them. So I I acknowledge that for it, but other than that, it's one of those that I feel like lessens with each watch.
I can see that.
Deteriorates each time
Diminishing
you pull it off the
returns.
shelf. Yeah.
I can see that. Well, there you have it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. If you have, so up next week we got yes, I'll go ahead and recommend something. So last week we did something with Dragon Ball, you know, big thing that I'm known for being a fan of, and even talked about on my channel. But there's something recent that came out on Disney Plus, even uh called X-Men 97. I'm a big fan of X-Men, if you didn't know. So we're gonna watch like the first four or so episodes. We're not gonna do the whole thing, you know, we got a week or whatever. We'll watch the four episodes. Check that out.
Probably
And
gonna be
yeah,
an extended episode, folks, so stay tuned.
probably. See you next week. Yeah. If you want to see us do other stuff, we got a show every Saturday called You Don't Watch Sports. Two of us, two guys, three topics. Help you sprinkle a little bit of information into your sports conversation as we be your guiding light through the seed that is sports talk. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube on the Whatever We Want podcast, or a good friend of mine, good for you, good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Thank you very much. As nature intended, we talk about just that. I also have a Twitter and Twitch that are Giotavi. That is GIOTAVI. Come on in. Stop on by. Bill, you got anything you want to say to the folks?
Hell no.
All right. Well, folks, thank you very much. And see you next week. Adios.